Hello and welcome back to Sacred Vapes. The channel aims to bring you the views and experiences of products in the market today, brought to you by an average vapor. Now, as promised, I've got a best of 2019 so far. These are some of the products that I've brought to you over the last 6 months. I just wanted to give out what I thought was the best ones, or at least the best in each category. And mainly because it's so easy for me to keep bringing videos out, and because I recommend rather than score or anything like that, it's very hard to really distinguish what I actually enjoy using. Not that I'm an expert or anything, but yeah, just for anyone interested, I wanted to give you a little video just to let you know what I thought was the best so far this year. And we're going to start with the best pod system. Best pod system for me, it's a bit of a close one, but I've got to go with the Smock Nord. If I had a top 3, then it would be the Aurora Play for that really strong flavour, really unique design, good battery life. Number 2 would be the Dragon Nano for me. The flavour was a little bit muted, but I just thought again it performed well, great battery life, and the Nord for me just blew everything else away. It really has done. You know, you get fantastic flavour, great battery life, it's easy to use. It performs really well with Nick Salt. I mean, it gives you that little bit of a hit for using the mesh coil in there. And just overall, it's a fantastic kit. And for the price you can get them for, like £15 now, I've seen them. You know, if you want the pod system, you can't do much wrong than going for something like that. So, moving on, we'll get on to the best mouth-to-lung device now. And again, I've brought you a few of these. I mean, I've brought you things like the Tygon and whatnot. But I've got to say my best mouth-to-lung one has been the Geek Vape Flint. Simply put, it just performed fantastically. It was small, it worked really well. It's designed for nicotine salts, so the wicking was fantastic on the coils. You got good coil life from them, really nice flavour. You know, it's 2 mil capacity. Obviously not the greatest, but I didn't find the juice consumption to be overly fast. And yeah, you know, the great internal battery, you know, you get well over a day, up to 2 days, depending on how much you used it out of it. And it's one of them kits that has largely gone under the radar for some of the other bigger launches, but it's a bit of a shame that, because it was a really, really good kit. So we'll move on to the next one, best juice. Now I'm going to do a top 3 juice rather than a best juice, simply because I don't want to just pick out one and say they're fantastic. So number 3, I will say it's the Cider Farms range. I just think they're really unique. They're full of flavour, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just really, really enjoyable. The next one, number 2, is going to be, it was a toss-up between 2 for me. I'm going to go with the Mojo Vape. They were really, really fresh flavours, really strong again, you know, really good coil performance, and yeah, just overall, really enjoyed using them. You know, the banana performed fantastically on the coils, you know, that tropical one was really, really fresh, almost like a fresh bowl of fruit, and it's a bit of a surprise to me to try that. And number 1 is going to be a bit of a surprise for you. It's going to be the Hooked range. And I'm not saying they're the nicest flavours on them that I've brought to you, but I just think for the price that they're selling them at, the flavours are incredible. The flavours are absolutely incredible. They're really strong, they're really consistent. They work really well on the coils. You know, I've still been using them in and out of using liquid for juice reviews, and I still enjoy the flavour quite a bit. They're really sharp, they're really strong, and no matter what tank I'm using them in, you're still getting that, and they're just fantastic value for money. So yeah, I highly recommend going and picking them up, simply because they're cheap, £20 for all 6, you know, and you're getting some really nice strong flavours in there. So we'll get on to the next one now. It's going to be best tank. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult because I have brought a few different tanks to you that I've enjoyed. Now, rather than give a best tank, I'll give you my top 3 and why. Number 3 for me is going to be the Scare, mainly because the flavour wasn't the best, the coil life wasn't the best, but the vape is really enjoyable. You know, you get about a week and a half out of a coil, which I know is negative in experience now, but I say just that, the fact that it's very airy inhale and then the thick exhale, absolutely enjoyed using it. I really recommend trying that out to see if you like it as well. I'd also recommend the Hell Beast tank from Hell Vape. Just thought it really intense flavour, really strong. And again, coil life isn't the best on them, but I'm gonna put that in there because again, when you start using it, you'll notice yourself how much enjoyable that is. And number one is gonna be this, the Falcon King. But there's an exception because I'm not using one of the new coils in this. I'm using the M1 coil from the original Falcon, so it's a bit of a cop out to say this has been my favourite tank, but I just think the Falcon tank is incredible and the coils are incredible, on the most part are incredible, and I just think the Falcon King brought a much better design of a tank. It's much more solid, much, even that, I've been mentioning in the review, but even that, the swing top, absolutely incredible again. I just think it's just really well designed. Plenty of coils available. I still recommend the M1 over the M1 Plus. I haven't noticed any difference in them, to be honest. And yeah, I'd say that was my favourite tank still. But if you want to try a new tank, then certainly try out the Hell Vape Hell Beast, because you'll be blown away by it. And finally, it's going to be best mod. Now, for the purpose of best mod, I'm ruling out the Drag Platinum, mainly because it essentially is the Drag 2, and I think it's unfair to mention that when it came out in November. So, in terms of the best mod of 2019 so far, that's been quite tough to say, because some mods have been fantastic, but they've had their limitations. Whether it's the Shogun with shorter battery life, but obviously better build quality than the Drag. I'm gonna go with. See, I want to say the Alpha Zip, but it's too similar to the Drag 2. The Alpha Zip, well worth picking up if you do want to pick up a Drag but don't like the design of it. That is a fantastic mod, but I'm gonna go with the Digiflavor Edge. Not for the wireless charging though. Forget the wireless charging. You do not want to be charging external batteries wirelessly. But in terms of overall experience with it, I did fall in love with the Geek Vape Edge, Digiflavor Edge. I just thought it was really comfortable to hold. It was a different design from anything else that was out there. It performed really well. The AS chip inside gave you great battery life. It was really responsive and nice and simple to use. Just everything you would want from a mod. And again, it's one of them mods that I think on the large has gone under the radar for a lot of people. And if it came out under the Geek Vape name, maybe it would have been bigger, and maybe more people would have bought it. As it stands now with the Digiflavor name, I think a lot of people have ignored it, and I think that's a little bit criminal, because it is one of them mods there, especially if you can pick them up now for about £35. You're getting a really good mod there, and one that's going to perform really well. So I think biggest surprise of the year for me has been, I hadn't really thought this one through. Biggest surprise of the year was the hooked range for me, simply because, as I said at the time when I done the video, when you buy cheap, you expect cheap, so that really surprised me. I think my favourite thing of the year so far has been finding that Velocity in Hanya. Absolutely love the design on it. It's going to be one of them devices that I will just always keep in my collection just because of how nice it looks. Biggest disappointment of the year so far, I suppose, the two for me I'd pick out. One is the battery life on the Lux. Fantastic device, but just the battery life being so poor, that was a disappointment for me. And I suppose the other disappointment was, not the rotor being a spinning pod, because I think that would have been a bigger product if had it not spinned. Because it performed really well as a pod system, but it was never going to sell as a fidget spinner design. Other than that, there's not really been any more disappointments I'd really point out, because I think that a lot of products have their strengths and weaknesses, and nothing's really disappointed me in that sense. Um, so yeah, I say I'll end it there, but they were just some of my thoughts for the year so far. I'll catch up with you guys at the end of December, and I'll give you my overall 2019 thoughts. But as I always say, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay safe. And keep vaping.